Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with part 2 of my unboxing video. We're going to get to all the action figures in a second, but if you haven't seen part 1, make sure to check that out. And if you haven't seen my Fig Hunt of Target, definitely make sure to check that out as well. And speaking of Target, when I went into multiple Targets, I ended up getting a pretty decent haul of figures. So let's just get straight into the unboxing. We're going to start with all the basic figures I found. I do not have a Chad Gable yet, so I decided to finally pick up this one. And the reason I did, even though it says Shorty G, is he doesn't have the stupid basketball jersey, and the Shorty G logos are very, very small and pretty much unnoticeable, but he does have the short hair, so it's not like his American Alpha look or anything like that. This pretty much looks like what he looks like right now, so I figured this was good enough. So, why don't we do what Matt Cardona always says and let it breathe. Oop. Looks like this one's part of a line with the Rhea Ripley I recently got, as well as a Fiend basic, which I think I have, but if I don't, it's only because I have the Elite. But here he is, Chad Gable, formerly known as Shorty G, one of the worst names ever. He's got these real nice white gauntlets there on his wrists. The basic articulations are here. A few years ago, it looks like they got rid of the ankle ability to move up and down, and they can still go side to side. The face is great. That looks just like Chad. I'm really impressed with that face sculpt. The shorts, generic blue shorts, I can deal with it. As a basic, not really much to say. He doesn't have any tattoos or anything to show off, so let's just see if it passes the stand test. Sure enough, he stands right up. A lot of basics do, as long as the feet were measured correctly. So yeah, he stands up perfect. As a basic, like on a basic scale, I'd say 8 or 9. Yeah, really good. Great face sculpt. Lots of good detail, but nothing special. Next up, I figured I'd introduce these two together just because they are Latin sensations. We have Humberto Carrillo and Andrade. Now, I do have an Andrade, but it's from back in NXT, and frankly, it doesn't look anything like he looks now. So this is going to be an upgrade to his new outfit, even though he just asked for his release and got denied. So I don't know where his contract status lies, but I do like Andrade. This is an updated one. It's part of this WrestleMania line. There was also a Ricochet, a Drew McIntyre, and a Fiend Bray Wyatt as part of that. Meanwhile, the Humberto Carrillo here is part of the line with Big E, Braun Strowman, and Becky Lynch, none of whom I picked up, but I did pick up the Tegan Nox. Anyway, let's get these open. Get rid of that packaging. Alright, first we're going to talk about Humberto. So I first saw Humberto Carrillo on NXT teaming with Raul Mendoza. And Raul Mendoza has actually teamed with a lot of guys over the years. He's currently part of Legado de Fantasma. And he's a good utility guy, but they were obviously pushing Humberto of those two. And sure enough, he came up to, I think it was the Raw roster. I really thought that they were going to team him with Dominic Mysterio or Rey Mysterio or even Andrade or Angel Garza, who's his real-life cousin. But they never did. In fact, we really haven't seen much of for Humberto in a while. But I always like him. I think he is smooth as silk in the ring. He is so much fun to watch. He flies higher than most high flyers even. So I really like Humberto. That's why I got his figure, even though they're not using him too much these days. We got a really, really nice head sculpt here, which is great. It does have that kind of little cocky face that he has in real life. It's not perfect, but yeah, as you can see, the hair, for whatever reason, is kind of folded up underneath the neck there on the back. So that's a little awkward, but it doesn't really affect how his head poses, so that's good. The rest of him, he's got this really cool HC on his pants there, and then he's got these kind of almost upside down heart looking things on this side. Again, no tattoos, so nothing to show off on the upper body, but let's see if he passes the stand test. Yep, like most basics, stands right up, looks real good. Another 8 to 9 on a basic scale of 10. And moving right along, here's the Andrade. It's a little bit stiff right out of the packaging, but that's okay. Really nice head sculpt, check that out. Looks just like him when he's pissed off and ready to really show what he can do. Black and white, there's his Andrade Almas logo, and then the fist. So that's cool. I could have sworn he had tattoos, but the figure doesn't, so perhaps he doesn't. There's a little man bun in the back, so that's looking pretty cool. There you go. Pretty nice stuff. It definitely looks like him, so it's a significant upgrade from the one I currently have. Let's just see if he passes the stand test. Alright, just a tiny bit less stable than the other two, just because this ankle is like super duper loose. But yeah, no, stands up really, really well. A lot of times, as you can see with the Chad Gable, the articulation's right here at the ankle, because he wears these kind of short boots. But when you got a guy like Andrade, who's got these almost knee-height boots, the articulation's all the way up there. And so sometimes, just because there's no articulations all the way through the foot, they won't stand up perfectly well if they're this tight. But he does. Works out really well. Oh, by the way, nice knee pads. These do come off. Next up, gotta preface this by saying my rule when it comes to keeping figures in a box is that, number one, generally speaking, they should be dead. That's the only reason I'm going to keep it in a box. Because if you're alive, no matter how old, let's face it, they might find a way to use you, and I want that figure open and able to be played with if they're using them on TV. If you're dead, it ain't going to happen. So currently, I have Mae Young, Ultimate Warrior, and Macho Man Randy Savage. I go out, I find the best versions of some of my favorite wrestlers who have passed away, and there was one missing. There was one who I love, and I was waiting for the right figure to come along. Here he is, Andre the Giant. Yep, Andre the Giant, this WrestleMania, in his little custom ring. You gotta love this, it's so cool. He's waving. I made sure to get one that has his head coming up, because a lot of the ones in the store, the head was down. And again, I don't want to open this, so I want to make sure it looks good in the box. But I just think this is so cool. So we got the classic WWE logos. There's the awesome picture of Andre on the back. It says he's from Grenoble, France. He is 7'4", 520 pounds. And this is from his match against Hulk Hogan. Same picture on the other side. Check that out. Again, not going to open this up, so this one's pretty fast. We're just going to set him aside and add him into the deceased awesome in-box collection. Another legend we're going to open up right now. I'm surprised that I don't have him in my collection already. I'm pretty sure. And that would be Goldberg. So here it is. Finally got myself a Goldberg. Now this is part of this weird build figure where you build Paul Ellering of all people and his dummy Rocco. So it looks like I get Paul Ellering's face for some odd reason. But yeah, these kind of WrestleMania moments, it's very similar to the Andre I just opened up. Very similar to that Andrade I opened up as well. It's WrestleMania time. Here's the other guys in this series. It's Shawn Michaels, it's Edge, and it's Chyna. If you saw the Target video, you'll see all about this in the display I found it on. I did decide to end up getting it, and here's 2 reasons why. Number 1, I don't got a Goldberg. Number 2, I don't have a blue belt. And number 3, with the Elite FX, True FX graphic face sculpts, I figured if I'm gonna get a Goldberg, this is the one to get. Also, he's got like all this white hair. I'll show it off when I open him up, but he's got this white hair. He looks nice and old, as he does right now. So if I use him in a action figure review, then he'll look just like he does, nice and old, Goldberg. Here we go, let's let him breathe. Alright, packaging. Over there. First thing I noticed. I already ripped it, but we got new backgrounds. Yay, I'll find a use for that. Here is the head of Paul Ellering. It's a little bit strange and morbid, but there you go. And the two spare hands for Goldberg here, wrapped in his kind of MMA-style gloves, are both open fists. So we'll set them aside. We'll get the figure itself here. There it is, the beautiful Blue Universal title. Again, I don't have a blue strap Universal, so glad to have that. Throw that on my Roman Reigns figure when I get a second. But here it is, Elite Goldberg. First thing we do, check out that head sculpt. Yep, it looks like Big Angry Bill. Looking grumpy as ever. The only tattoo I'm aware of, right there on the shoulder, the iconic one. It's also his logo on the back of his trunks. But there he is in all his just kind of elbow and knee padded up glory. He's just a bald white guy. So I don't know what else you want me to tell you. The articulations, they're the Elite articulations. So, oh, I am just realizing he has a small tattoo under there. Look at that. Alright, so working through the joints here, I realized one of these ankles does not want to move, which I don't like because I don't want to force it. The last time I forced an ankle on one of these figures to move, I snapped the ankle right off of a Tyler Bate. So, we're just going to leave that ankle. We're going to hope it's fine as it is where it's stuck. The other one does move, so maybe I can just adjust that one. Here we go. Let's do the stand test. Elites are always harder because you got to get all those articulations kind of aligned correctly. But actually, he stands up really, really well. Nice wide stance. So it's kind of a power stance. It doesn't look like he's got these kind of skinny little chicken legs. Move like torso around. Yeah, he stands up kind of no matter how I'm posing him here. So he's got a really, really good balance. The head looks up really well. I like that. Very stable. Gotta like that. The head sculpt's great. The tiny little details that he does have, like the tattoos, is great. So on an Elite scale, you know what? I'm gonna go 8.5 to 9. 8.5 to 9. He's really, really solid. There we go. Finally got myself an Goldberg. Keeping it moving with the Elites. You know, I was really bummed out because two of my favorite NXT call-ups recently were Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, and I haven't been able to find either one of them, but I got my hands on an Elite Keith Lee finally. This is part of a line that, strangely enough, has Jerry the King Lawler and Rob Gronkowski. I might be interested in this Alexa Bliss, depends what it looks like. I already have a good John Morrison, so probably won't get that. And we'll talk about this Finn Balor in a minute. But yeah, here he is, Keith Lee, bask in his glory. Of course, he's got the True FX face sculpt, and he's got a kind of vest. It looks like it's going to be rubber. That's kind of that weird hoodie vest thing that he wears to the ring, especially on the main roster now. But let's crack this open and let it breathe. Toss that packaging aside, and again, first thing, it looks like we got new backgrounds. So this is like a blue take on the kind of black and white crowd setting that we had going for a series or two there. So we'll set that aside. And the two extra hands we got are both closed fists, so we'll be able to have him grasp a microphone if he ever needs to cut a promo. But what's really cool is we get this thumbs up, so he's able to point at himself and go, "Bask in my glory." Here he is, Keith Lee. Bask in my glory on the side. It's got his pose kind of logo on the other side. First of all, look at that head sculpt. That looks just like the big old teddy bear. That is fantastic. I love that he comes right out with the big pose. His arms are a little bit stiff. That's okay. We'll force him down. I will say though, once the arms are down, he has no neck. And I guess he's kind of like that in real life, but man, they really went a little bit hardcore on the not giving him a neck at all. He's just like, ugh. Kind of like when Brock Lesnar first started and his traps went all the way up to just like his ears. Anyway, There he is. He's got two nice knee pads. He's got one painted on shoulder or elbow pad. Wow, I don't know the parts of the body today. Here's the vest. It's got that kind of classic, raised thing that goes in the hole that most of the Mattel rubber clothing has. I'm not going to bother putting it on right now. I just want to see how he stands up because I'm mostly worried about the torso that seems a little bit loose. Seems to be wobbling a lot there. So we're going to see how that affects his balance. Oh, I had nothing to worry about. He stands right up. Let's wiggle that torso around. Yeah, he leans forward. He leans backwards. Again, he can't really move that head much because they didn't give him a neck. But you move the other parts around. He stands up really well. I'm going to go 9.5. I really love Keith Lee. I'm so glad to have him in my collection, and I'm really glad to have an elite version. The basic's all right, but always better to have a nice elite. So there we go. 9.5 on Keith Lee. Next up, I already have two of her, but she changed up her look, so it was finally time for me to get Deflated Bailey Buddy and Soccer Mom Haircut Bailey. Here it is. This is part of a slightly older line. I recently got Ivar, and I'm still looking for Eric as part of this line. Also, the Kyle O'Reilly is pretty cool, so if I ever see him, I'm going to try and get him. And then we got Ricochet and Kevin Owens, who I already have multiples of both of them. Anyway, let's let it breathe. All right, get rid of that packaging, throw it over there, and here's one of those older style backdrops. Not really doing much for me, but here it is, the Deflated Bailey Buddy. It's supposed to just kind of lay flat, as you can see on his pedestal there. Poor deflated guy. Oh, that's sad to see. We got two extra hands. They are both open fists, so if you need to grab a microphone and tell you about how she's a role model, or, more importantly, if you need to grab whatever the heck this thing was that she used to bash apart those poor Bailey buddies. I don't know what this stick is supposed to be, but now I have a stick. Here she is, Bailey, in the new uniform, new outfit, new ring gear, whatever you want to call it. It says Bailey on the front there, and the new kind of stylized way that she does. What's interesting in these boots are pretty much the exact same as the boots she had on in my on one of my other figures. So I don't know if she kept those gold boots as a tribute to maybe Dusty. I know she had a great relationship with him, or what. Females always have the slightly different thigh articulations than the males, so they tend to be a little bit easier to stand up in the elite. So there we go. Oh, a little too close. That's Bailey. The head sculpt is pretty good. I think it does look like her. Of course, what's more important about this figure is the haircut, the Soccer Mom haircut. And yeah, the gear is itself yellow. Let's stand her up. Yep, that's what I thought. She's going to be nice and stable. Most of the women are in the elite lines. I'm not going to fuss too much with the joints since she's standing up pretty well as it is, but there's Bailey. Let's call that another 9.5. Really well done for a women's figure. As I alluded to, I also got the Finn Balor in this line, so I think I only have one regular looking Balor, and he's got this kind of really stiff leather jacket. So I wanted another regular Balor. This is his kind of NXT look with the crossed out F. I still don't exactly understand what that's supposed to mean. We also have 4 different alternate hands. I don't think that goes to any type of build anything. I think it's literally just he's got 6 total hands in this set, which is really, really cool. Again, I don't know why Rob Gronkowski is in this line, so I won't go over that again, but it does look like we're going to get one of those cool backgrounds again. So let's break it open and let it breathe. Toss that packaging right out here. Sure enough, got another one of these cool blue crowd scenes, so set that aside and use that later. Oh, I see. His right hand has a tattoo. So all the right hands have a tattoo. And it looks like on his right hand we have a pointer, we have an open splayed hand, and we have an open fist to grab things. In the left untattooed hand, same thing. We got pointer on the figure already, open fist, and splayed out hand. We're gonna leave those pointers on for now. What's really cool about this guy, instead of that awful leather jacket that's made out of like that really hard to manipulate plastic, this is one of those velcroed up kind of meshy material tops with that brand new logo, so that looks great. He also has that full sleeve kind of armband thing that he currently wears as the NXT champion, so that's really cool. Looking at the face sculpt, that is such a great Finn Balor face sculpt. That looks just like him right now. He's got that pissed off I'm the champ attitude. All the articulations feeling really nice, a little bit loose if anything. And then last detail is there's that logo again on his trunks. Let's get those articulations all kind of together and then see if he passes the stand test. Alright, so I'm noticing the kind of ankles are a little bit off, so he's not standing as stable as some of the others. Not to say he's like falling over or anything. I got him to stand up pretty easy here. It's just that he's a little less stable than some of the others, just because I think that mostly the thighs keep wanting to splay out a little bit more than they probably should. So that dock him a few points for that. Maybe go 7.5 to 8, somewhere in that range on this Finn Balor. I still love you, Finn. I have 2 demons. I have the other one, so this is like the 4th or 5th figure at least of Finn Balor that I purchased. Still love you. You're my favorite, but this figure, I mean, it's great for an NXT Finn, but on an elite scale compared to what else we've seen today, just gonna be a little bit lower. Lucky number 7. And then here it is. Finally, I managed to find AEW Unrivaled in the wild, only at Target, not at Walmart. Still cannot find them at Walmart. Now, I do have a pretty good Pac, but I saw him, and I had to get the official AEW version of Pac. I think for now, just because I like my other Pac, I'm gonna leave this one in the box. But you can see we have 2 different head sculpts, one of which has the hair all over his face, one of which does not. Actually, I think I might end up breaking this open at some point just to get that chair out. That's a really nice looking chair. We see this is part of, I think, Series 3. I already have Riho, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and this came with new versions of the Bucks. Speaking of which, I will be opening up Nick Jackson. Now, the problem we always have with tag teams is you'll often find just one of the 2 guys. This happened to me with the Street Profits. I think I found a Montez Ford, but couldn't find an Angelo Dawkins for the life of me anywhere. So hopefully we can find the corresponding Matt Jackson. If we do, I'll definitely start using these in my Dynamite reviews. But this has this much nicer kind of black leather jacket. At least in my opinion, I like that better than those Elvis style ones that they came out with in Series 1. And we got new pants, so let's crack it open, let it breathe, and check out the new Nick Jackson. Okay, so the first thing I notice is that much like a couple of the other Unrivaled, I think they've kind of botched the head sculpt game a little bit. The Riho looks terrible, and I think it was the other Nick Jackson too had a really derpy face. So no surprise. I mean, this is relatively neutral. The camera's not really picking it up, but he definitely has this kind of like, I don't even know. It's like he's like storing something in his cheeks almost, like, and he kind of has this chipmunk look. It's nitpicky, but compared to even the elites that I just opened, I think they really do need to step up the head sculpt game and really get the true likenesses of the wrestlers on these figures if you're gonna try and compete. In the meantime, I do kind of like this way. So what they did, if you'll notice here, is it is made of material and rope and string, it looks like, as opposed to the like kind of pleather fringes that they had on the other ones that I don't believe you could take off. So that's interesting. Looking at the top here, we have the Elite all over this jacket, the leather print on the lapel there. We got these cool spikes on the shoulders, and then they go down into more frills. The frills are kind of all clumped together, which I don't like when they do that. I wish you'd kind of separate out these. The color scheme's really cool. I definitely think I like this better than the white Elvis jumpsuits from the first one. And I expect, because of the really great articulations, for this to stand right up. That shouldn't be an issue. It's going to be more about the pose. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put up his arms. And I'm not going to do like the full thing per se, but I'm at least going to try and get him to stand with his kind of torso bent to the side. It goes right back on, thankfully, with the Elites. They're designed to kind of do that. But we're going to stand him up like that in the pose and see if he can stand up. Okay, the ankles are a little loose. He seems to be falling back a little bit, but as long as you kind of adjust him, he does stand up. And granted, this is a more rigorous standing test. There we go. All right, so it depends kind of how you get the ankles working. So he does stand up, but dock a little bit for the derpy face, dock a little bit for the, there's details that you could have just done better. This is a little bit cheap, even if it does look fairly okay, especially from a distance. It's all about the little things, as AJ Styles would say. And sometimes you don't get it when it comes to the little things, and that's okay. AEW does a lot right. They're allowed to miss every now and then on something. Unfortunately, it's with action figures, which is kind of my forte. So I would grade this one, let's go with a 6 out of 10. Definitely the weakest one that we opened today, which is weird to say, because they're supposed to be unrivaled and kind of like their version of the Elite, ironically. A little bit disappointing, still a good figure. I might actually end up using him. I don't know, especially if I can get the other one so that they match, I'll end up using him. But let's set that aside. We're gonna call it a day. I hope you enjoyed watching me unbox all of those figures. I am so happy I was able to find some AEWs in the wild. And again, check out part 1 where we open some random wrestling merch, and check out that Target video to see how they are doing something that Walmart is not, and that's getting their distribution right. Follow me on Twitter at WrestlingOptimus and Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. And I hope you all have a great time. I will catch you later.